previous video, I showed you how to make this floral chain bracelet. Now today I'm going to show you how to make a matching set of earrings. And this is what these look like. Now you can see I have little post findings on them for the earrings. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can use a French ear wire or whatever you have available. You don't have to use the post, so if you don't have one, don't worry about that. That's okay. It's easily modified to change that. But this is what these look like. Let me get you a little closer. This is what the back looks like. They're really quite pretty, they're easy, and they're fast to do. So let's look and see what this project takes material-wise. Okay, for this project, you're going to need 16 4mm round crystals. And you can also use bicones if you'd like. This is a 4mm round Chinese crystal, and it's an opal AB clear. Then you will need 2 colors of 11O seed beads. I'm using Toho galvanized aluminum for one and a Toho opaque lavender for another. And then you will need some 8O seed beads. This is also a Toho and it is the rose gold tone. You will need 2 either ear wires, French wires, or post wires like I have here. I'm using 8-pound Nanofil today. You can also use 10-pound Nanofil or 6 or 8-pound Fireline. 6 will probably work better. Then I'm using a size 10 beading needle. You can also use a size 12 beading needle. Thread on to your needle about an arm's length and a half. So measure from your fingertips, stretch your arm straight out, measure from your fingertips to the middle of your chest, and that should be more than enough thread. Thread that onto your needle and let's get started. Okay, pick up 10 8O seed beads onto your needle and then move them to the end of your thread. You don't have to leave a very long tail. You just want enough to hold on to. And then from the tail side, just pick up a couple of beads, doesn't matter how many, just pick up a few, hold on to your tail and a couple of the last seed beads and just pull your thread through until the beads form a circle like this. And then sew through the rest of the beads until your working thread meets where your tail thread comes out. So I'm just going to go through all my beads. And then when my 2 threads are together, I am going to tie a knot. And just a small knot between the beads. Make sure they go between the beads, or the knot goes between the beads and not on top of them. And then just make sure that you have a little bit of room, wiggle room with your beads. You don't want them really tight squished together. If you pulled them really tight, then just at this point your knot will slide a little bit. Just pull a little bit of slack into your thread there. And then we are coming out right where our knot is. So let's go through 3 of the 8O seed beads and exit. Now pick up 1 11O seed bead and go through 2 beads right here. Hold on to your beads and just guide your thread down until that 11O pops between the 8Os. And then pick up another 11O. Go through 3 seed beads this time and pull again until that 11O pops down. Now pick up an 11O and go through 2 seed beads. Just ignore your tail, move it aside, and pop that 11O down. And then one more time, pick up an 11O seed bead, ignore your tail, and go through 3 8O seed beads like this. Pull that 11O in until it's secure between the 8Os. And this is what you should have, a little rectangle. Now we're going to sew around it one more time just to secure it. So I am going to skip the 11 O's as I do this, and I'm just going to go into the 8O seed beads. And this is just to secure our first unit. Skip the 11-0, go through 3 8-0s. Skip the 11-0, go through 2. I'm also doing this to allow myself enough strength to cut that tail off so it's not in our way anymore. Just make sure you don't go through the 11-0s. They are there to hold the structure. So if you go through them, they become part of it and it turns into a circle. You want it to be square. Now, I've gone all the way around. My tail is on this side, working thread on this side. I'm just going to cut this tail down. I'm not going to burn it yet because I don't want it to block any of my beads when it rolls down. So just leave a little tag there and we'll do that later. Now, we have a little rectangle. We're going to pick up 2 8-0 seed beads onto our needle. And we're going to go into the opposite side of the 8-0s we're coming out of. And pull through. Just hold on to your unit and bring them down securely, like so. And they'll lay against the previous set of 2. Now go through them again. So go through the new set. Go through the set on your unit. And then back through the new set. Now those should be secured and ready to start a new unit. Now each unit has 10 beads in it, but because we have 2 already here, we're only going to pick up 8 8-0 seed beads. So go ahead and pick up 8-0 seed beads, pick up 8 of them. Like this. And then we're coming out of this side, we're going to go into this side of our 8-0s and just bring down a big circle, like this. Now, we're coming out of these 2 8-0s, so we're going to pick up an 11-0, and we're going to slide through 3 of the 8-0 seed beads, right here. Pull, and pop that 11-0 in. Pick up an 11-0, and go through 2 8-0 seed beads, and pull your 11-0 down. And then again, an 11-0, and go through 3. And then an 11-0, and go through 2. Now just to straighten this up, I'm going to sew through it again. So skipping the 11-0s, go through 3 8-0s, skip the 11-0, through 2, skip the 11-0, and go through 3. And just kind of straighten your unit out. And then we're going to hop into the 2 8-0s here and work our way to the top again. So skip the 11-0, go through these 3 8-0s, and then come into the 2 8-0s on top here. Pick up 2 8-0 seed beads and go into the opposite side. And then once you've put those on, we're going to go through 1 8-0 seed bead. And then we're going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead and our ear finding. So if you're using a French wire, just pick it up. Make sure the bottom of the ear wire is closed. Just take your chain nose pliers and lift it and close it really tightly to make sure your threads don't come through. Otherwise, these loops are usually closed on this, so you don't have to worry about this type so much. Now we're coming out of this 8/0 here. We're going to pick up an 8/0, then pick up our ear finding and go through it and drop this down. At this point, this is what you should have. You should be coming out of this 8/0 seed bead, and you've put on an 8/0, you've gone through your ear wire. Now you're going to go through the 8/0 that you just added, and only that 8/0. Pull this thread through, and then pull your ear finding down towards the 8/0 seed bead. And then go through the 8/0 here. Now this should form a little triangle, but it's really loose and wobbly, so we have to go through and secure this. So go through the 8/0s on your piece. And then sew up into the 8/0 on this side, so you're coming out of these 8/0s, sew up through the 8/0 and the one that the ear wire is on, and through the ear wire if you can. It's arguing with me. There we go. So I'm just going through the 2 8/0s. Then I'm going to go through my ear wire. Sorry, I'm holding this really weird, guys. Let me go through the ear wire here. There we go. Or the loop, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to pull that tight, and then I'll go through this side. So both 8/0s here on this side, and then through the 2 8/0s. I'm going to do that one more time just to make sure that this is nice and secure and my beads lay nicely for me. So I'll just go up through this 8/0, then I'll go up through the middle 8/0. I'm just taking one at a time. This is a little bit more awkward than just an ear wire. There's more bulk. Up through that 8/0, through my stud. Okay, come through. This really isn't this hard. All right, through that stud, down through this 8/0 here, and pull. I'm just straightening everything out so it looks good and going back into these 2 8/0s. Just arrange it so it looks good. There we go. Now I'm going to embellish the top here, and that will set the connection we just made really well. So I'm going to pick up one of my crystals, and then I'm going to pick up an accent 11/0. So I'm going to use my lavender now, and then another of my crystals. And I'm coming out of this side of the 8/0s. I'm just going to go into the opposite side and pull this through. Now if you're using 8-pound Fireline, your beads will fill up a little bit faster than mine. However, these are 8/0s, so you should have plenty of room inside them. If you do not, consider using 6-pound Fireline. 8-pound Nanofil is very small, so I can sew through a lot. Now I'm going to go up through the crystal here. So I'm coming out of the 8/0s after coming through to secure them. I'm going to go up through this crystal, and then I'm going to go through the 11/0, and I'm going to secure these crystals into place before I add the other half of the flower, simply because it just turns out better. It just looks better. They stay on there tighter. This particular embellishment likes to move around, so it's better to secure them. Now I'm coming through the crystal on this side. I'm going to go up through the 8 O's here and pull this whole thing tight so it looks good. And it kind of stands up, and that's what you want. Now go up through the crystal on this side and the 11O. So you're coming out of the 8 O's, go through the crystal and the 11O. Hold on to your crystal so you don't pull them out of whack. And I've just tangled, hang on just a minute, and pull your thread down. Now pick up a crystal. You're coming out in this direction, so you're going to go into this side of the 8 O's on the opposite side of the unit. So bring your crystal down on the thread, nice and tight like so, and then pick up another crystal and go through the 11O on this side of it. I'm going to put my thumb over it and pull. Now I'm going to get you a little closer. Now you can see this is just loose and wobbly looking, so if I could just go through in this crystal and start my next unit, but I don't want to do that because I want my crystals to be pretty. So I'm going to go down into this crystal. I'm coming out of the 11O in the center, and I'm going to pull tightly, and then I'm going to go into these 8 O's and sew through these 2 crystals again. Now if you have a really light bicone or you're using a crystal that you can see through really well, you may see the thread a little bit sewing through this many times. If you do, then you're just going to have to tighten going through once. But if you can go through it twice, like I'm doing, I've come through this crystal, the center, and this crystal, that is ideal because that is going to make your embellishment really pretty, tight, and stand up nicely. Now, once you're through the crystal, after sewing through the beads again, go through these 2 8 O's right underneath it, avoiding the 11 O's on either side. We'll never go through those 11 O's. Now, I'm going to go through these 2 8 O's here. I have a knot in my thread. Let me fix that. Okay. Now, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up a crystal and my accent 11O and a crystal onto my needle. And I'm coming from this side of the 8 O's, I'm going to go into this side. And avoid the 11O on the other side as I come through. Pull it down tightly. Come back up through the crystal and the 11O in the center. I'm just holding on to everything tightly so that, or not tightly, but I'm holding on to it so that it doesn't move all over the place. And then coming out of this 11O, I'll go into this crystal. Tighten that embellishment. And then I'll go through the 8 O's again. And pull through. Come up through the crystal. And then come up through the 11O. Pick up a crystal and go through the 2 8 O's on the opposite. On this side, you're coming out of your 11O this way, so you want to go onto that side of your 8 O's and pull. Pick up another crystal and come back through just the 11O in the center. Pull them down, make sure that they're nice and arranged pretty. Go through the crystal on this side again. You're coming out of the 11O. Go through the crystal, pull down, go through the 8 O's, and go through this crystal and the 11O again, and then back down into this crystal. And then into the 8Os. And that's what it should look like. Now we're going to tie a knot, but first let's go through the 8Os on this side just to secure that last stitch. So I'm avoiding the 11O. I'm going through these 8Os on this side. I'm going to pull, make sure my embellishment looks good, and then I'm going to go underneath the thread bridge between the 8O and the 11O right here. Pull my needle through, make a loop, grab that loop, go through it, and pull in a knot nice and tightly down between those beads. And then I'll go up into these two 8Os over here. And then into these 11Os over here, or excuse me, 8Os. And then I'll just cut my thread off. And then getting heat close to that little tag, I'll just melt it down. Don't light it on fire, just melt it in. It'll curl up. And then the tag we left on the top over here, we can do the same thing. I can lift it, melt that one in. And this is what you have. A really pretty little earring. And here is the set. That's what they look like. Really pretty. And it goes really nicely with the bracelet that I made previously. So let me move all this stuff and I will show you the set. And that's what that set looks like. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you consider making a pair. It's really fast, really easy, and turns out really pretty. Bye-bye.